by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to well, the fourth slate is the prophecy of the Fontanians. They didn't believe that such a crazy
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater, and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve. Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervalet mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing? The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can... it now, so that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that that could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have...
Yeah, isn't the image... So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the... In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, however, while you were able to decode all the information when we were at the root, now that the slate collection is complete,
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly sum your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontaine. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessel. But if Fontanians were to... Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the...
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to... Wait, but if that's the
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the they have not... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro. You may also therefore, that the people of Fontaine shall Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones
What should we do?
No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater... However, I believe that rather than being assured as for the root cause of the catastrophe, This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth The original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entire...
That's not... We've already done everything we can. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe. That's just...
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of... Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids. transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self. All right, it is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not just... Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor,
The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and nobility. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Burst forth! Moment of birth! Tear! Going under! Frost is coming! Witness my great undertaking!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
This!
Teamwork is dreamwork!
Day's reckoning! Hair! Frost is coming! Getting gear! Hair! Getting gear! Frost is coming! Useless! Boring! Burst forth! Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you? Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you. Wait a moment. You're near me? How can this be? Mirror me.
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait, the people will all be dissolved into the water.
Oh.
What? But...
I will tell you.
But if there were...
I suppose this would... Don't worry.
Play as... a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this
But how will I do this? A human assumes...
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. Being a human yourself, remember, you're
I'm still not So, how long am I going to have to
to a but I
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most of people? Ladies, I'm sure you've all heard about how, in truth, I know little about as the god Focalor. Once again, thank you all this. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Right. Me calm down, Farina. Assertive, with a Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are now. I was wondering if some weak puppet were to... Well, it seems that you may consider my previous act a door gift. Now then...
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an...
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and... My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer... The scales of May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. There is no trouble in this world that just... So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the... Besides, not...
If I may be so impertinent...
A magnificent, dramatic...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence of... All right, Deoteria, is it? How it...
You remembered me, and you knew of my family, too. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an artist.
Oh, good.
Oh, you're such a gentle and wise god. Thank you once again.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of,
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also—
Really? Have they found anything? The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe this whole time, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest—
There'll be no—
Lady Farina, I've waited so long.
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an honor for us both.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. I feel utterly—
Lady Farina, it's like a dream. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria, almost 20 generations ago.
And what a
Sure. My lady?
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Really no. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined that have I reached my limit. No, I want to tell someone, anyone, about I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. All I can do is keep heart.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone, your people are more than willing to share your burden with you.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone. Just share it with me. I'm what you'd call a witness.
A witness? Yes. I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected, the people of Fontaine will be the ones to pay the price. No, Farina. You shouldn't be selfish. But what if it's really alright? Farina, you've worked so hard for so long. Surely it would be okay to put yourself first for once. Just this once. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom you can confide your frustrations and sorrows? Surely it could not hurt. If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, it might never come by again. Think about it long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. Everything will surely get better. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until the curtains fall.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long...
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine.
And then I became one with the oratories, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, alas, your understanding of this device, in truth, it is no enactor of...
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the oratories take down the god of justice... I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the oratories. But really, some have already the vast majority has been, had to be.
It was all part of your...
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been... But only power of this
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet. Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original... Speaking of justice, I have always believed that just so, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine, then, leaving matters of in other words, defying the prophecy. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, have shown Iudex Neuvillette.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even attempted to feel as they feel. You are a devious one, Fussalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something huge just happened.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened was good for us.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Gnaw. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. I shall look for an opening to walk. I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Let's light it up!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. A chance will present itself.
Ancient power. Burst forth. Going on. Frost coming. Lament. Worthless. Here.
I have granted you my gift. Do not fear. Seize the moment. Use my power to suppress its root from within.
Hair. Getting here. Come into being. Let's light it up. Commencing cleanup. Frost is coming. Getting gear. Hair. Getting gear. Hair.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some...
That power.
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was, less talkative.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the